Everyone, I'm Jodi and welcome to my channel. I'm really glad that you're here today. So today we're going to do a get ready with me sort of spring smoky eye tutorial, and we're going to use two new products that are on the market. They've been hot on the market. People have really been anticipating their release, and I wanted to demo them with you while we create a look. So a little bit of a tutorial, a little bit of a get ready with me, a little bit of a product review, and we will do it together. Now, at the end of the video, I'll also talk about my outfit that I have on, my shirt, my earrings, and sort of how I paired it with what I'm wearing today. The two products that we are gonna talk about today are the new Gwen Stefani eyeshadow palette. I have it in Danger Zone, and we're gonna create this look together. I'll give you my full thoughts on this palette after reviewing it, and it is a price point of $28. And then we're going to review the Bridgerton 2 blush by Pat McGrath. In full disclosure, I'm a huge Pat McGrath fan. I love her eyeshadows. I am waiting for her mascara that I picked up during the Sephora sale. I love her lip liner that I recently picked up. Her eyeshadows are just creamy, buttery magic. So I was really anticipating this. It is a $60 for, a box, a beautiful box. And a heart, which I love. We're gonna talk about this blush look that I have on today. It's a little bit by accident, but it's a little bit by how this works. So if you are curious how to wear this, or if you even need it, then stay tuned because we are gonna get right to it. Let's get started with this fun little, I don't know what the look's gonna be, but we will see as we get started. But we're gonna start with the Gwen Stefani palette. Now, this palette is a 4-pack palette. It is $28. It's exclusive to Sephora. I have it in the Danger Zone. It comes in 4 different palettes. So the reason I selected this one is because it's one shimmer and the rest are mattes. So that was sort of the look I wanted. I wanted just more mattes. It also comes in Simple Kind of Love, which is all matte. There's Rich Girl, which is more bronze. It looks like there's maybe 2 mattes and 2 bronze shimmery colors in that palette. And then Just a Girl is a rose gold palette with 2 shimmers and 2 mattes. For $28, we'll see how it wears. I mean, that's a pretty high price point for just 4 eyeshadow palettes, but again, they're clean, vegan, cruelty-free. In terms of the palette and the packaging, it's very easy packaging. It's just a cardboard, type of package. You open it up and it's got some red color, which she's so known for. I did not get her red lipsticks. There were a few there to look at. I'm just not a bright red lipstick person, so I thought it would be unfair to wear them and kind of give an impression to you what they would wear like, because reds are tricky. It depends on if there's more blue tones to the pigmentation of the lipstick or the product and what skin tone you have. So I've never seen 2 people put on any red lipstick and have it look anywhere remotely the same. So we did not do the red lipstick. In terms of the packaging of the eyeshadow itself, it was interesting because when I opened it, I was a little underwhelmed because I've got palettes that I just think are a little bit nicer just from the looks of them. When you open this up, this is just a clear plastic piece with a piece of cardboard under it with this logo printed on that cardboard piece. Now, in fairness, I guess that's part of maybe because it matches the packaging. I just was surprised, I think, to open this and just see a piece of cardboard underlaid in this plastic. And then this here is printed, the center logo is printed on the outside of the palette itself. And then you open it up and it has a mirror in it, as most of them do. What I did like about this is that they didn't waste any space with the like a spongy application. People feel differently about those spongy applications. I'm not a fan of them, but they didn't waste space putting one in. They didn't necessarily maximize the space of the palette either with more eyeshadow, so I guess the space is wasted. If you're gonna waste it, put a sponge applicator in it, if nothing else. So to get started, I'm gonna use a Morphe synthetic brush. This is the Morphe M167. I'm just gonna put a little bit of primer on my lids. This is MAC's Paint Pot in Painterly. My lids aren't oily, but as you know, I do wash my face with coconut oil, so there could be a little bit of oil left on my lids. That's okay as long as it's not oily. And then I just like to put a little bit of a primer over it. Now, if your lids are oily, then after you get as much oil off of the lids as possible, then you're gonna wanna use a concealer that is non-oil based so that you're not adding oil to oil. If you have dry skin though, you do wanna use an eyeshadow primer that has maybe a little bit of oil in it just to make sure that your eyes aren't too dry. that your eyeshadow starts to look patchy and adheres to some of those dry patches throughout the day. So that's why this one for me is a good medium in between, because it doesn't add a bunch of oil, but it also doesn't leave a drying effect on my eyelids as well. Okay, we're moving on. So the next thing is we're just gonna go into this palette, and I think I'm gonna take this bottom dark color, which is Never Know, and let's grab just a tapered brush. I'm just gonna go with a small tapered brush like that, and we're gonna go into that almost darkest color. Oops, what am I doing? I need hair clips in both sides, or who knows what that will end up looking like. All right, so we'll just go with that darker color. And I'm curious to see how these blend. The pigmentation is strong. I don't see any fallout. I'm just gonna mark sort of a half of a V going right into that crease, but not any farther in than about a third. Oh, it looks like I went a half on that side, so let's go ahead and do that so that they at least match. And I'm just going right in that brow bone. If you have hooded eyes, you'll still want to do this, but maybe a little bit outside of when your eye is opened, so that you've got some of that color just behind your lashes. So that's a pretty color so far. I'm just gonna go back into that color and go with a little bit more of a V there. We're gonna try to do more of a soft glam, which is why I have this shirt on, and when we get done with the makeup, I'll show you this outfit. I picked this outfit so that we can wear some rosy colors around the lips, but then more importantly, so that we could match this color eyeshadow with the blush palette that we're gonna get into from Pat McGrath. And I have some thoughts on that. So now that we have the color placement on that darker color where we want it, I'm just gonna go in with a light fluffy brush, and we're just gonna blend that softly, blending the edges and some of that color so that the color does move slightly. This isn't a look where we want the color to exactly stay where we want it, because this is a blown out sort of soft smoky look. So we want all of the color to look softer around the edges, and it's okay to lighten it up overall. The key to a good eyeshadow look is to layer it almost buildable like you do your foundation. Never start with a real heavy hand with eyeshadow, because it's difficult to get the look that you want, where the intensity can be built up if you add layer over layer, just light layers, and you'll get a much better look. It's easier to, with everything else, isn't it true? It's easier to add than to have too much in the beginning. And isn't it harder as we do our eyeshadows as we get older? It's like, I just want my eyelid to stay in place while I put on my eyeshadow, so I don't have to go back and have little wrinkle lines that I then have to color inside of. You guys know what I'm talking about. If you are younger and you don't have that, then embrace it, because I don't think I embraced it when I was younger and I was doing Mary Kay on people and they were like, oh gosh, I wish my eyelids would stay. And I didn't understand really what that meant, nor did I appreciate the fact that mine did stay many years ago. All right, next we are gonna go in with this medium color, and I'm gonna use that same fluffy brush because I'm gonna use that on my whole lid. So that coverage just makes it a little bit easier to cover everything. We're gonna go down to the lash line, into the center corner of the eye, up to that area where we covered it with the darker color. Do the same thing on this other eye. These shadows don't seem to have a fallout, which is nice. It's going on nice and smooth on top of that primer. It's blending easily. They're smooth. The pigmentation is still very, very good. It doesn't look like it's kind of bunching up in any dry areas. Now, we did put on that paint pot, but there could still definitely be some dry patches. Next, we're gonna go in with that lightest color, and I'm just gonna go in with a small brush and just go right up above my eyebrows and sort of line them. Now, this lighter color is definitely giving fallout. You can see it on my, I don't know if you can see it on my lashes or not. Yeah, you can see on this palette how it's kind of going everywhere. So, you know, if you're gonna have fallout, I guess the lighter color is better, but I prefer at that price point to not have that much fallout, especially when I have ColourPop shadows that don't give that much fallout. But you know, we can't have everything, but at least we know what we're getting with this, right? So I just wanna kind of line underneath. And then while I've got that smaller pencil brush with the lighter color, I'm just gonna go inside my inner eye just to brighten that up a little bit. If you've got lids that are starting to sag down a little bit, like you can see right here, this lid is sagging a little bit, covering up some of my eye, not creating quite a hooded eye, but it is starting to sag a little bit, where ideally it would be up like that. So you can see the difference there. And then if it was up like that. So what we want to do is make that part that is sagging appear a little bit farther back and not as forward. So we're just going to add a little bit of light shading just at the bottom part of that where it is sagging, so that it appears farther back and higher up. Similar to how you would use a contour. So to do that, we're going to go in with this lighter color. And again, that is Too Late. And just go across the bottom of that part that I want to be not hanging. I just want it to appear a little bit more lifted, and in order to do that we need to make it not look quite so forward, which is why we're going to put darker color on it to create more of a shadow. So you can see by doing that, it makes this extra skin that's sort of starting to fall and hang down, it makes it appear higher and farther back than the eye where we haven't done that. So we're going to do the same thing on this other eye. Just where the part is hanging, similar to how you're going to use contour like on your jawline to make this look more tight and pulled back. It's the exact same concept, just with shadow and with your eyes. So you see, we're just going to lightly shade that back a little bit, and then we'll blend. Now we'll go with a little bit wider brush, and I want to lighten up from the corner, inner corner of my eye out just a little bit. Now again, this is a really pretty sort of vanilla creamy color. And I'm just gonna, once I go in the inner corner with this lighter color, I'm gonna just slightly blow it out all the way over to give a little bit of that whitewash color that we've talked about before. But I want the majority of the lightness to cover the center, the first half of my eye. So from here over. And then once we're there, we'll softly pull it and give the rest of that color a little bit of a whitewash, trying to avoid the part that we just, that hanging part that we just shadowed in. You don't want to whitewash that, or else we're just adding more lightness and making that shadow part not be as dark, which is not what we want. So you just want to avoid that area with this and just really do more of the lid. Something like that. Next, I'm gonna go in with my eyelash curler. Those of you that don't like an eyelash curler can skip this part. And we're gonna go in with a small skinny pencil brush. So for this, I'm just gonna use the Sigma Smudge brush. This is the E21. And we're gonna go into that darkest color, which is called, I think that one's Secrets. Tap it off, and I'm just gonna go right along my lash line from the outer corner, pulling it all the way to the inner corner. Now this will be very telling to see if we get fallout with this, and so far we don't. Now this has just enough gold flakes in it to add a little bit of glitter, if you will, or glam to your look, but not glittery. Now you could always use this with a setting spray and get it a little bit wet and get a darker payoff from it, which to go from day to night would be a really easy thing to do. And I'm just gonna go all the way across until my lashes stop, and then follow it into the corner. And then with that, I'm gonna also go across the bottom. Now when we do the bottom, it's important that we just put the color on the very tip of the brush, not on the side of the brush, because if you put it on the side of the brush, what will happen is when you go to do your under eye, more of that will fall this way, regardless of how you hold your brush. And you don't want that line under your eye to be really thick. I like to just brush that as if I'm brushing my lashes, just to give a little bit of color. Now this darker one does have fallout similar to that lighter color, so that is not great. I don't love that, especially when darker colors have fallout. Now of course you can have, this is why a lot of makeup artists do eyes first, and then they can go in and brush off all of that fallout and then do your foundation, your concealer, your highlighter. It definitely looks better when you do your eyes first and then your foundation. It's just a habit of mine to do it the other way. I've tried and I always end up just falling back into this habit of doing my face first. And same with the under lashes. We're just gonna go right through here. The Sephora sale is over now, and I hope you guys got what you wanted. There were a lot of things sold out pretty early on or out of stock, so hopefully you were able to get some good deals and some good buys. And then I'm just gonna take another pencil brush. This is the Bobbi Brown fine eyeliner that I love to use just for this detail work. And I'm just gonna go smudge that a little bit so that it does not look, I just don't like a harsh line under the eye. I think it looks better if you've got some softness to it. Just gonna go just like that and soften that up. And I will sometimes use my fingers. All right, and then the last thing we'll do is we'll go back to this dark brush that we used on the eyeliner where we did underneath the eye with that darker color, and whatever's left on that brush, I'm just gonna sort of pull it out a little bit so that that dark line that we lined our eyes with comes up and meets that darker V corner that we started with. Because even though we whitewashed that outer area with that lightest color, that darker color is still there, which is what we want, but we want to sort of blend those two together so it doesn't look like there's the dark liner and then some flesh tone eye color and then that darker V. So we're just going to sort of blend those together so there's a gradual fade of color. So in terms of the eyeshadow palette, you guys, you can see how much we used it today. There's definitely some fallout, especially in this lighter color and that darker color. There is some of that fallout on under my eyes of that darker color that we put, so I'm not a fan of that. That's just for $28. I'm just not loving that there's that much fallout. So next let's grab some mascara, and this is the Ilia Full Volumizing Mascara. And again, I will link all these in the description box below in case you are looking for a new mascara. This was one that was recommended to me from a lady that worked at Sephora, and I really enjoyed it. And since I've been using that Revitalash and Revitabrow mask that was sent to me, I have really seen, let me not over exaggerate, because when you say I have really seen, it just sounds like a lot. I have seen some growth in my lashes and in my brows, and it's been about 3 weeks since I received that and I started using it right away. And when I say growth, I feel like my brows are, the brows that were already there are definitely longer, but I feel like there's thickness to all of the brows. Even the little tiny brow hairs feel thicker to me. And then in terms of my lashes, I feel like the base of my lashes are thicker. I don't need to use quite as much eyeliner, if you will, if I'm trying to get that darker line, because I just feel like that's a little bit darker. And I'm just gonna take a little bit on the bottom lashes. And because we're going for more of an evening look, but not a harsh glam look, sort of that soft, light smoky, spring, summer type look, but still a smoky type eye, I am going to only do one coat of mascara. I know that is a shocker for many of you that know me and have watched my tutorials before, because it's usually always 2 coats and then a waterproof. But with this Revitalash and with this mascara, I don't think I need a second coat of regular mascara. I will use the second coat of the waterproof. So we're gonna let that sort of dry down a little bit. Now, if you wanted your eyes more intense than this, you could definitely go back in with an eyeliner on the waterline, the upper waterline, or you can go on the lower waterline if you wanted. I think these are probably dark enough for that soft glam look that I'm going for, but I do wanna go over with a 1 coat of waterproof mascara just so that I avoid getting any of those lash marks or black smudges underneath my eyes. Since we already have a little bit of fallout from that shadow, I do not want to add any more buildup of dark flakes underneath my eyes. Now, if you wear glasses, remember, because your glasses are magnetized, whatever flakes from shadow or mascara that you have on your skin, it looks larger through the glasses to people looking through your glasses. So you really want to just make sure that's cleaned up as best you can. And I think wearing a waterproof mascara would be really helpful for those of you that do wear glasses, just to keep your mascara from transferring on the bottom part of your eye. Because that shadow look underneath your eye just adds to the sort of that hollowness look that we already start the day with, and just adds to that overall looking tired. All right, so there we go with this Gwen Stefani eyeshadow. We'll see, it's very pretty, it's very natural. There was some fallout, not a ton. I think for a $28 palette, there's more fallout than I would like to see, but the colors blend beautifully. We'll see, hopefully they'll wear really nice. I do like that the shadow is 3 mattes with just 1 shimmery, and by shimmery color, I mean it's just that nice dark black with just little tiny gold specks in it. So that is really pretty. And I think, again, if you were to wear that wet with the setting spray, there's probably some different ways you can use that. So it's a versatile palette. You could do different looks with it. You're somewhat limited, I think, with this palette in terms of the looks that you can do, just because two of those colors are very similar to each other, those two, you know, browns. So somewhat limiting. I think I would have liked to have seen a bigger contrast between this color and that color, just so that you could create that many more looks with the palette. But again, not a bad palette. I don't know. I think I'd have to, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one yet. So while we think about how we feel about that eyeshadow, let's move on to the the very expensive Pat McGrath Bridgerton 2 blush palette. Now first, let me say that this is a lot of air. Well, let me start with the price. This was $60. Yes, that's a 6 and a 0. And you can see by, let me just get an average. Okay, this is just an average size of lipstick, okay? So that you have an idea of what that looks like in terms of size. It's about a little bit smaller than a lipstick case. So it's very light, it's a lot of air. The packaging is gorgeous. It's flat, it's smooth though. It's just painted cardboard. And it's a lot of painted cardboard. There's some very nice gold pieces around it. If you were gonna buy this because you wanted to set it out on your table or your makeup collection and you just wanted to display it, that's one thing. But if you were going to want to put this in a makeup drawer, a vanity display, you know, where you put all your makeup sort of away somewhere, this is kind of impossible to do. So for that reason, you know that when you buy it, you must buy it because you want the display. But when you open this palette, and this is where I just am a little challenged, when you open this palette, it is 3 blushes and 1 highlight. If you can see that, these are raised up out of the box. So once you start using these very finely milled pressed powders, there is nothing structurally on the side to hold the powder on the side from keeping it from breaking and moving. So while I cannot predict the future, I have a suspicion that after using these for a little bit of time, the walls of that blush are going to start to give way and it's going to be a blended mess of everything. Now again, I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm just suggesting. I have a hunch that that might be the case. Let's test these. Now, I love hearts. You guys know I love hearts, but I don't love hearts where my makeup brushes have to go in them, because getting a makeup brush to get the rest of the product in those little V's is somewhat challenging, but I don't have to worry about that in this palette because it's probably gonna end up breaking and not staying in there anyway. So let's go ahead and try these colors. Now it's Pat McGrath. Pat McGrath does beautiful, beautiful work with her blushes. All of her eyeshadows are stunning. Her lip liner that I just purchased, I'm in love with. So these look gorgeous. So let's just sample these and see what they are gonna look like. I mean, that highlighter is really, really pretty. It comes up kind of a yellowy gold, it looks like. So we'll see what that wears. That looks like just a very shimmery, it's pretty gold. In fact, I would probably take that and do that, a little bit of that on my eyes. So we might do that in a second. This one's more of a rose, kind of a berry color. It looks very, very bright on my finger. Let's see what that's gonna, I mean, that is really, really pretty. So this one is Budding Romance, and this darker one is Berry Brilliance. That's really pretty. That'd make a pretty eyeshadow, I think, in some of the right conditions. And then this color right here is number 2, and that's Aphrodisia. So which finger haven't I used yet? I haven't used this one. Very, very pigmented colors, really pretty. And I don't know which one I'm gonna wanna wear because they're very different in terms of the tones. This is a more of an orangey reddish tone, and I think this one is more of a bluish cool tone, and then this is just gorgeous, and then you've got your highlighter. So I think they're stunning. That's just not very much blush for $60. I kind of want to take this palette apart and just see like how deep those go, but I think I can see how deep they go, and they don't go much below this box. Like, they don't go much below what you can see. I mean, I think what you see is what it is. So all right. We bought it, we're committed. Gosh, any of these colors would look good. We're just gonna go with a couple colors because why not? So let's just go in and start with Berry Brilliance. And that is Oh, that's pretty. It's very pigmented, very pigmented. And it's blending out nicely. Can you hear the hesitation in my voice? It's blending out fairly nicely, not like other Pat McGrath has blended out though. Yeah, that is very, very pigmented. So if you are doing a play, you're going to a 70s party, and we're just gonna blend it. As pretty as that, it's not blending as well as I would like. Like, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's kind of patchy through here. And the only thing I have on my face right there is foundation. I knew I was putting this blush on, so I didn't put anything else on there. And I am not sure. I mean, in the camera, it might look nice, but it is definitely blotchy right through here. And that is disappointing because Pat McGrath's eyeshadows are really blendable very nicely. I have a few of her blushes that blend well, and this isn't one of them. Okay, well, knowing how dark that went on and how it wasn't exactly blendable, I'm gonna go in with this lighter shade, which is Aphrodisia, which is more on that warmer watermelon look almost. And let's see how it wears. Yeah, you guys, these are so pigmented that if you are not really careful with how much you put on your brush, then unless you're wanting to do a look from the 1800s, which I guess maybe that's part of the deal, even if you have darker skin tones, this is just gonna be so pigmented that if you don't blend it out flawlessly, it's gonna look like you've just placed blush on your face. So while I can appreciate Pat McGrath and her makeup, and I'm a huge fan, I mean, I don't know, even if you're a collector, I don't know who's gonna wear these, because right now I feel like I could just be a circus clown, and that is not ever a look that I think I'm going for. So yeah, we're just gonna keep blending and blending and blending and see if we can blend that away. I don't know who would wear these blushes, and that's really disappointing. For $60, the box already was ridiculous. And I mean, it's air basically. And then these really brightly colored pigments. Yes, they look beautiful against this gold background, but there's just no way I would wear this out in public. Yeah, I can't even blend it, you guys. Like, it's blending to nothing. Like, I can't even blend it softer. And you saw I didn't hardly put any on the brush. It's right now I'm channeling like Raggedy Ann or something. Maybe there's a rodeo somewhere that needs like a clown in the middle of the rodeo ring, because that's what we're rocking today. Yeah, I am not impressed with this whole thing at all, and it's $60, which I knew it was overpriced, but I wanted to try it and see and share it with you guys. But I mean, these are colors that unless you have, yeah, I mean, even dark skin tones, I would just be careful with them because they're so, not just pigmented, but they're bright. It's a bright pigment. It's not a pigment that is soft and, you know, summery, light, lushy feeling. They are very bright colors, and they're difficult to blend away. Now, I have them on top of a very nice foundation, so it's not the foundation that is causing it to lack blendability. But yeah, I don't know how I would even wear this the rest of the day. So with that, we will stop this horrible experiment. Let's just move on to lips, because this is not gonna go away anytime soon, and I would run out of battery if I kept trying to blend this to a point where it looked decent. Okay, moving on. We are just gonna, I have lip liner on. I just wanted to share that I have the Natasha Denona. This is I Need a Rose in Calla. I've talked about this one before. And then I've just covered it with the White Russian Buxom because I love the lightness of this color on top of the darkness of that liner. And I'll just put a little bit more on because I've been talking for a little while. All right, so that is the review of those two makeup products. I would save my money. The eyeshadow, I don't know that you need it. I mean, I don't know that it's an eyeshadow palette that you have to run out and get just because it's Gwen Stefani. The colors are very similar to colors that you can get in other palettes with less fallout. So in terms of the blush, you know, I do have lighter skin tones, so maybe if you had darker skin tones, it would look pretty. And you could blend it perhaps to a wearable brightness, then I think you might like it. I can't recommend it at all, you guys. It's just so, the colors are so bright. Okay, in terms of outfit, I did tell you guys I would talk about that. Now, when I have a fluffy shirt on, like this has big puffy sleeves, there's a lot going on in the print. It's very small print, but it's busy. Whenever I have something that has like a lot going on, I just opt for some simple hoops. Now, I'm more of a gold person, so I just like something simple to complement what's going on in the shirt, but I let the shirt sort of be the louder voice. If the shirt was plain, all one color, a solid color, not a lot of fluffy sleeves, not a lot of activity, if you will, different textures or anything, then I'll go with a more fun decorative earring, but that's not the case here. So this shirt is by Sadie and Sage. It's just a little fun top. I paired it with a belt that is, you know, sort of matches that tone. I would have sandals on that are sort of this color, and it's just, yeah, it's just a sort of a, it's not quite a half top by any stretch, but it really, these types of shirts go well with your higher waisted jeans, which are in right now. And then I just pull any color from the shirt in order to figure out which belt I want to wear. And then the belt always matches the shoes. At least that's how I like to do it. Just feels more coordinated. So there you go, you guys. I hope that was helpful. Yeah, 2 new products on the market. I don't think you need to really rush out and purchase either of them, but that decision is up to you to make. As always, these products will be listed in the description box below if you're interested in any of them. Thanks so much for watching. Please share this with anybody that you think would find it helpful. Subscribe as always, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.